Hello friends, today we'll read the 7th chapter of 11th class book Snapshot, and the title of the chapter is Birth, and its writer is A.J. Cronin. And in this chapter the writer tells us about a miracle, and the miracle happened when Joe Morgan's wife Susan Morgan was expecting first child, and the doctor Andrew Manson, who was recently a medical student, pass out from the university, medical student he was, and he didn't have much experience, but he saved the life of the newly born baby, and that was a miracle because he had done something big. And we'll read in the chapter how Dr. Andrew Manson saved the life of the newly born baby of Joe Morgan, Mr. and Mrs. Morgan, what techniques he adopted at the time to save the life of the baby. Okay, so let's begin the chapter. And if you are a newcomer on my YouTube channel, then you are requested to subscribe my channel. Okay, please subscribe my channel and support me, and give your feedback in the comment box so that I can make the changes in my videos, coming videos. Okay, in this excerpt from the Citadel, Andrew Manson, newly out of medical school, has just begun his medical practice as an assistant to Dr. Edward Pace in the small Welsh mining town of Blenheim. And as he is returning from a disappointing evening with Christine, the girl he loves, he is met by Joe Morgan. Joe and his wife, who have been married to nearly 20 years, are expecting their first child. So, this lesson, this story is a part of Citadel, and in this story, Andrew Manson is a character, is a doctor in the story. Andrew Manson is newly out of medical school and didn't have much experience. Okay, so he is a newly out student from the medical school, had just begun his medical practice as an assistant to डॉक्टर एडवर्ड पेस, और डॉक्टर एडवर्ड हैं एक, उनके अंडर अभी प्रैक्टिस कर रहा है एज एन असिस्टेंट. ही इज़ वर्किंग एंड इन द स्मॉल वेल्स माइनिंग टाउन ऑफ ब्लेनले इज अ प्लेस. ब्लेनले की जो माइनिंग टाउन है वेल्स, वहाँ पर ये छोटा सा टाउन है, वहाँ पर ये डॉक्टर एडवर्ड के असिस्टेंट के रूप में प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं. अभी शुरुआत की इन्होंने. एज ही इज़ रिटर्निंग फ्रॉम अ डिसपॉइंटिंग इवनिंग विद क्रिस्टीन, एंड क्रिस्टीन के साथ में उसकी जो इवनिंग थी दैट वाज डिसपॉइंटिंग वन. क्रिस्टीन इज़ द girlfriend of Andrew Manson. He is met by Joe Morgan, and at the same time, when he was coming back to home, he came across Joe Morgan, who was waiting for him at his as his at his place. Joe and his wife, who have been married nearly 20 years, and Joe and his wife, उसकी जो wife है, and they got married nearly 20 years back, and now they are expecting their first child. So now see what happens. Though it was nearly midnight when Andrew reached Gower, he found Joe Morgan waiting for him, walking up and down with short steps between the closed surgery and the entrance to the house. And it was nearly midnight. Okay, it was midnight time when Andrew reached his place, reached Gower. Okay, Gower is the place where he lived, and he found Joe Morgan waiting for him, and Joe Morgan was walking up and down the steps, short steps, with short steps, mean to say he was strolling with short steps के साथ में वहीं पर वो वॉकिंग अप एंड डाउन वहाँ पर चल रहा था, टहल रहा था. जो उसका वहीं पर ही उसका हाउस होता है डॉक्टर एंड मैंसन का, और वहीं पर एक छोटा सा क्लिनिक होता है. At the sight of him, the burly driller's face expressed relief, and to see Andrew Manson, to see the doctor, Burly drillers face expressed relief. Burly means heavily built. Burly means heavily built. द ड्रिलर ड्रिल होता है जो माइनिंग्स वगैरह में ड्रिल करने का काम करता है. ड्रिल करने के बाद में उसमें जो है एक्सप्लोजिव मैटर फिलअप किया जाता है एंड आफ्टर दैट ब्लास्ट होता है. तो ड्रिलर्स का काम होता है ड्रिल करने का, होल करने का काम करते हैं. उसके चेहरे पर जो हैं रिलीफ के एक्सप्रेशंस आते हैं जब उसने डॉक्टर को देखा. Ah, doctor, I'm glad to see you. I've been back and forward here this last hour. The missus wants here before time too. Here, doctor, I'm glad to see you. तो he tells the doctor, जो मॉर्गन है वो डॉक्टर कहता है कि मैं बहुत ग्लैड हूँ, खुश हूँ, आई एम वेरी हैप्पी and I am here for the last 1 hour. I am strolling here. I am walking up and down here, and the missus wants here before time to. ये ओल्ड इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज है तो यहाँ पर कह रहा है कि जो इसकी वाइफ है उससे आपकी ज़रूरत है. ओके, यानी कि कहने का मतलब है his wife is expecting and he wants that doctor should go there. Andrew abruptly recalled from the contemplation of his own affairs, and at the same time, Andrew mentioned the doctor. Abruptly means suddenly recalled from the contemplation of his own affairs. Now, the doctor also had a uh, contemplation of his own affairs, mean to say he was in affairs with his girlfriend Christine, and now he started thinking about Christine. Told Morgan to wait, he went into the house for his bag. Then together they set out for number 12 Blaina's Terrace. And at the same time, Andrew Manson asked Joe Morgan to wait. And after that, he went inside his house to carry the bag. And now they together सेट आउट फॉर नंबर 12 ब्लेना टेरेस. उस एड्रेस के लिए वो चल पड़ते हैं जहाँ पर जो मॉर्गन रहता है, वहाँ पर वो चले जाते हैं. ओके. The night air was cool and deep with quiet mystery, usually so perceptive, and now felt dull and listless. And the night air was cool and deep with quiet mystery. It seemed that the night air was wrapped with mystery. So mystery was there in the air, and it was so perceptive. Perceptive here means so perspective. Perceptive. Perceptive means showing insight, showing insight, and what are showing sensitive insight. Andrew now felt dull and listless. Andrew was totally exhausted at that time and he was not feeling well. Mean to say, he was disappointed and dull and listless. Listless means he was not enthusiastic. He was lacking energy, we can say. He had no premonition that this night call would prove unusual, still less that it would influence his whole future in Blanley, and he had no premonition. Premonition means any idea in advance, any guess, we can say. So, premonition means a strong feeling that something is going to happen. If you have such type of strong feeling that something is going to happen, that is premonition. So the doctor Andrew Manson didn't have a feeling that this night call would prove unusual, and he didn't think about that night call by Joe Morgan would prove an unusual night, an unusual call, still less that it would influence his whole future in Blanley, and that particular night call would influence means affect is whole future in Blanley. और Blanley के अंदर उसके जो होल फ्यूचर है उसको ये इम्पैक्ट करेगा, इम्प्रेस करेगा, अफेक्ट करेगा, उसने कभी सोचा नहीं था. The two men walked in silence until they reached the door of number 12. Then Joe drew up short. "I'll not come in," he said, and his voice showed signs of strain. "But man, I know you'll do well for us." In this way, both of them reached the address, and that was number 12 in Blenley Street. And after that, Joe Morgan stood outside, and he told the doctor that he was not supposed to come in. And his voice showed the signs of strain. Strain means nervousness. There was nervousness in his voice. But doctor, I know very well that you will do well for us. It means Joe Morgan was sure that the doctor would take care his wife very well, and the doctor will handle the situation very well. He knew very well. Inside, a narrator stair led up to a small bedroom. ये narrow है. Inside, a narrow stair led up to a small bedroom, clean but poorly furnished, and lit only by an oil lamp. And inside the house, there was a narrow stair. Narrow stair means बहुत तंग सीढ़ियाँ थी जो एक छोटे से बेडरूम में जा रही थी. The bedroom was clean but poorly furnished, but the furniture inside was old and in crumbling state. Crumbling state means the furniture was very old and it was not in okay condition. Okay. And lit only by an oil lamp, and there was an oil lamp that giving light to in the room. Here Mrs. Morgan's mother, a tall grey-haired woman of nearly 70, and the stout elderly midwife waited beside the patient, watching Andrew's expression as he moved about the room. So in the bedroom, Mrs. Morgan, who was expecting the child, मिसिज़ मॉर्गन्स मदर बैठी हुई थी वहाँ पर. मिसिज़ मॉर्गन की मदर एंड यानी कि उसकी जो मदर इन लॉ है वो बैठी हुई थी, जो कि लंबी थी, ग्रे हेयर्ड सफ़ेद बालों वाली, और नियरली 70 years old शी वाज. एंड द स्टाउट मीन्स हैवीली बिल्ट, मजबूत. एल्डरली मिडवाइफ वेटेड बिसाइड द पेशेंट, और पेशेंट के पास में वहाँ बैठी हुई एक बुज़ुर्ग मिडवाइफ बैठी हुई थी. मिडवाइफ एन एक्सपर्ट, especially a woman in helping the ladies in their childbirth, is known as midwife. And the midwife was watching the expression of doctor and mentioned, "Let me make you a cup of tea, Dr. Bach," said the former quickly after a few moments. And now the mother-in-law of Susan Morgan asked the doctor that she was going to make a cup of tea. After a few moments, कुछ मोमेंट्स बाद में वो डॉक्टर से कहती है कि मैं आपके लिए चाय का कप बनाती हूँ. And smiled faintly. He saw that the old woman, wise in experience, realized there must be a period of waiting, that she was afraid he would leave the case, saying he would return later. So Andrew, the doctor, smiled faintly. Faintly means very. So faintly means slightly. Andrew थोड़ा सा smile करता है. He saw that the old woman wise in experience, and he noticed that the old woman, the mother-in-law of Susan Morgan, was very wise, and she had experience, and the lady was afraid that the doctor would leave, saying that there was time and there was waiting in delivery, and in this way the doctor would leave the case, and saying that he would come back after some time. But the doctor The doctor told the mother-in-law of Susan Morgan that don't fret mother, I will not run away. आप परेशान ना हो, don't be nervous, I am not going anywhere. Down in the kitchen he drank the tea which she gave him. Overwrought as he was, he knew he could not snatch even an hour's sleep if he went home. And down in the kitchen, and by in the kitchen he took the tea which was given to him by the old woman, and he was already tired. Overwrought means exhausted, tired, and he knew very well that he would not be able to manage even an hour's sleep if he went home, and he knew very well that the case could demand his presence and attention anytime. A queer means strange. A queer lethargy of spirit came upon him. और एक अजीब प्रकार की जो lethargy है, lethargy means आलस से ने उसे घेर लिया. He decided to remain until everything was over, and decide किया कि जब तक सब कुछ ठीक ठाक नहीं हो जाएगा, he would be there. An hour later he went upstairs again, noted the progress. Maid came down once more, sat by the kitchen fire. It was still, except for the rustle of a cinder in the grate and the slow tick tock of the wall clock. And an hour later, he went upstairs. The doctor went upstairs to see what was the situation of the case. He came down in sit in the and sits in the kitchen near the fire, and there was pin of silence, only some sound created by burning coals in the grate. ग्रेट मीन्स अंगीठी होती है, ब्रेजियर जिसे हम कहते हैं, और घड़ी की वहाँ पर टिक टॉक की थोड़ी बहुत आवाज़ चल रही थी. दैट्स ऑल फॉर नॉइस. एंड नो देयर वाज अनदर साउंड, द बीट ऑफ मॉर्गन्स फुटस्टेप्स. नहीं, वहाँ पर कुछ दूसरी आवाज़ भी आ रही थी, और वो थी मॉर्गन जो मिसिस मॉर्गन का, सुसैन मॉर्गन का हस्बैंड था. आउटसाइड ही वाज स्ट्रॉलिंग एंड हिज फुटस्टेप्स कुड बी हर्ड inside the house as he was pacing in the street outside. The old woman opposite him sat in her black dress, quite motionless, her eyes strangely alive and wise, probing, never leaving his face. And Susan Morgan's mother in law, the old woman who was nearly 70 years, she came and sat opposite the doctor, and she was looking very tensed, and she was motionless, and her eyes was very alive and wise, and probing means just inquiring, never leaving his face, and particularly she was looking at the doctor's face. His thoughts were heavy, muddled. The doctor was also confused and muddled at the time. He was very much exhausted and disappointed, we can say. The episode he had witnessed at Cardiff station still obsessed him morbidly. And the incident that he witnessed, witnessed means he saw that incident with his eyes at Cardiff station. He was still thinking about that incident too much. Morbidly means too much. He was full of that particular incident. He thought of Bramwell, foolishly devoted to a woman who deceived him sordidly, and now he was thinking of a person, Bramwell. He was the character Bramwell was dedicated, devoted to a woman. Devoted to a woman means he loved that woman very much, and that was foolishness of that man, because that man was deceived, cheated by the lady sordidly. Sordidly means dishonestly and unethically, meanly of Edward Pace, and he also thought about Edward Pace bound to the shrewish blood van of, of Danny, living unhappily apart from his wife. So, in this way, we come to know about that his thoughts were heavy, muddled. The episode he had witnessed at Cardiff Station still obsessed him morbidly. He thought of Bramwell, foolishly devoted to a woman who deceived him sordidly, of Edward Pace, bound to be shrewish bloodman, of Danny, living unhappily apart from his wife. So here we come to know that Andrew Manson, the doctor, was heavily obsessed with thoughts, and he was confused. His thoughts were playing tricks with him, with his subconscious mind, and he was thinking about the episode at Cardiff Station and continuously thinking about that incident और उस जो इंसिडेंट जो कार्डिफ स्टेशन पे हैपन हुई है वहाँ पर अकर हुई ये उसी के बारे में अभी मॉर्बिडली मीन्स होता है बुरी तरीके से सोच रहा था मॉर्बिडली मीन्स नेगेटिवली ही वॉज थिंकिंग अबाउट दैट पर्टिकुलर इंसिडेंट ही थॉट ऑफ ब्रैमवेल और उसने अपने एक फ्रेंड्स और रिलेटिव्स जैसे ब्रैमवेल है उसके बारे में सोचना स्टार्ट किया जो कि एक वुमेन से बहुत ज़्यादा डिवोटेड था बहुत ज़्यादा ही लव्ड हिम वेरी मच बट ही वॉज डिसीव्ड बाय दैट लेडी अनएथिकली मीन्स डिसऑनेस्टली मीनली घटिया तरीके से उसको धोखा दिया गया उस महिला के द्वारा उसने एडवर्ड पेज के बारे में सोचा जो कि एक बहुत ही एग्रेसिव महिला तो श्रीविश का मतलब होता है एग्रेसिव शॉर्ट टेम्पर्ड जल्दी गुस्सा होने वाली जो महिला थी ब्लड वैन उसके साथ में वो काफ़ी उसे डिवोटेड था डैनी के बारे में सोचा उसने और ये डैनी जो कि अनहैप्पीली रह रहा था अपनी वाइफ से अलग होकर के हिज रीजन टोल्ड हिम दैट ऑल दीज मैरिजेज वर डिसमल फेलियर्स और उसके जो रीज़न था तर्क था जो उसका माइंड उसे दे रहा था कि उसने बताया कि ये जो मैरिजेज थी ये सभी बिल्कुल डिसअपॉइंटिंग फेलियर्स थी इट वॉज ए कंक्लूजन विच इन हिज प्रेजेंट स्टेट मेड हिम विंस और ये उसका कंक्लूजन था उसका इन हिज प्रेजेंट स्टेट उसके प्रेजेंट स्टेट के अंदर अभी फ़िलहाल जहाँ बैठे हुए वो सोच रहा था उस हालात में उसे विंस यानी कि डिसलाइक फील करवा दिया उसने उसे वो ऐंठने लगा विंस करने लगा शोइंग वी कैन से गिव एन इंडिकेशन ऑफ पेन और डिसलाइक तो इस तरीके से साफ झलक रहा था उसका दर्द उसका जो पेन उसके चेहरे से बिल्कुल साफ झलक रहा था डॉक्टर के चेहरे से ही विश टू कंसिडर मैरिज एज एन आइडियलिक स्टेट यस और उसने इस बात की इच्छा की कि वो मैरिज को कंसीडर करे बट द डॉक्टर wished that the marriage with Christine could be a delightful one okay in all respects idyllic means होता है delightful in all respect yes he could not otherwise consider it with the image of Christine before him और क्रिस्टीन के इमेज के साथ जो उसके माइंड में अभी भी बसी हुई थी क्रिस्टीन की इमेज के साथ में वो नेगेटिव सोच नहीं सकता था यानी कि वो जो इस प्रकार के जो एपिसोड उसके दिमाग में आ रहे थे उनके बारे में वो बिल्कुल नहीं सोच सकता था ही कुड नॉट थिंक नेगेटिव विद द इमेज ऑफ क्रिस्टीन इन हिज माइंड तो आज हम इतना ही करेंगे बाकी जो है हम नेक्स्ट वीडियो में करेंगे ठीक है तो आशा करता हूँ कि आपको अच्छे से समझ में आया होगा अगर आपको फिर कोई प्रॉब्लम आ रही हो या किसी कोई लाइन में दिक्कत हो तो आप बिल्कुल फ़ोन करके बता सकते हैं पूछ सकते हैं 9996279380 9996279380 is my mobile number and you can give your valuable feedbacks in the comment box and please let me know what type of problems you are facing and I'm sure that you won't be facing any problem But still, if you have any problem or questions regarding this story, you can raise your queries through WhatsApp. Okay, you can send me text as well. Okay, thank you so much.